keep on moving. Keep Spicemas alive.
Lord, 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 Lord. Lord, Lord, some descriptions I cannot say. Like humble abode, oh no, no, no. Can't call Grenada home, can't call Grenada home. This place sweet like honey, I call it honeycomb. Can't call Grenada home, I can't call Grenada home. This place sweet like honey, I call it honey. Can't call Grenada home. It's a whole heap of vibes on the come.
Indeed, we are back for another one. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Ladies' Room, of course, together with the Spicemas Corporation, celebrating their 10th anniversary. And all week long, we've been doing carnival things, carnival-related themes. We started off with our chair and the CEO of the Spicemas Corporation, bringing us up to speed as to what's been happening and what to look forward to. We spoke about Pan on Tuesday, yesterday. We had, of course, music. We were talking about the music. And this morning, we are talking about the mask, my favorite part of carnival. Yeah, y'all can keep your juvie thingy. My favorite part. Putting on the costumes and the masquerade and all of that. That's what we're talking this morning. So welcome, all my mask players. Come on in. And as soon as you do, hit the share button and let's give other folks an opportunity to be part of the conversation this morning, because I've got, trust me when I say, the best when it comes to mass to have this conversation with today. All right. So again, happy 10th anniversary, Spicemas Corporation. And again, special thank you to our sponsors for making this possible. A special thank you to our friends at Beacon Insurance. Thank you so much, Western Union. Thank you, George F. Huggins and Company Limited. Thank you, Ariza Credit Union and Sissons Paint, and not forgetting, of course, the Spicemas Corporation. So, ladies, gentlemen, everybody, welcome. Good morning again. It's good to join you. Good of you to join us. As a matter of fact, I'm seeing someone here who's saying, you know what, I'm hurting their feelings with this mask talk because they can't believe for another year they can't put on their feathers. Well, you're not the only one. We're all in this together, right? Hey, let me just say good morning to my guests. We have today Damini, Brizan, and Devon, Francique. They're here to talk about mass. Gentlemen, good morning. How are we doing?
Good morning. I'm good.
Put up the I know you're soft spoken, so put up the mic a little closer to you, so we'll hear you nice and clear. All right.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm like that person who just had that comment.
We all share with this together. We have to support.
We have to support. No mask again for next year.
You have to do checkups. Check up on your sister in feathers and make sure that she's good, or whoever it is, they're good as well. Devon, how are you doing?
Not too bad.
Not too bad. All right. So just put the mic a little closer to you as well, and we'll be good to go. All righty. So like I said, we are talking about mass this morning, and namely the evolution of mass, rather. All right. So we want to start off with your involvement. So we probably could, I'm not sure who want to go first, but tell us a bit about your involvement in mass as it relates to Spicemas.
Okay. I'll go first. I started as not Spicemas, it was called back then, but like in 1993, just out of school, where they used to sell tickets. So as a volunteer, going to sell tickets, because I used to work with the accounting firm Panelco Foster. So I used to look forward to that every carnival, to sell tickets to get a free pass to the shows too. Then it evolved after I went to study and came back. I was part of several committees, Queen Show, part of the production for the general carnival. And later in like 2010 to 2014, the chair of the Kiddies Carnival Committee. And then I branched off to actually doing what I like best, producing mass. So we started off with a children's band, well, me and other persons, called Fusion. And then we started with the adult band, and well, part of different bands. So I was part of Comancheros, ecstasy, and now in this dispensation, the new Oro band. So right now, that's who I'm associated with.
Great. Devon, tell us about your involvement in Mass.
Okay. For me, my involvement as it relates to mass stem from the following starwards. Mr. Derek Clouden, now deceased, better known as Fatty Derek, former president of the Senate, Mrs. Margaret Nichols, Alison Brown, Lester Russo, and Rosin Gabriel from Trinidad and Tobago, Derek Fritz from St. Kitts, Richard Carr from Antigua, and many other persons I can mention.
Mhm.
Now, they saw the passion in me for culture and mass and channeled me into that direction. I was then recognized and awarded by the then Prime Minister of St. Kitts, Honorable Denzel Douglas, and Deputy Honorable Sam Condor for my involvement in culture and education in the Caribbean. And at the World Travel Market in London, England, with Grenada's very own Miss Caribbean teen, that's Katisha Williams, now Spicemas Legal Counsel. At present, I am the Grenada Mass Band Association representative on Spicemas Board of Directors. Also trained judges as adjudicator for Spicemas for many years in the areas of Juve, Parade of the Band, Monday Night Mass, Pageant, Kiddies Carnival, National Queen Show, and of course the King and Queen of the Band. Produced the National Carnival Queen Show for many years and judged as well. And recently was part of a Caribbean panel looking at the branding of Carnival in Dominica, St. Lucia, and Grenada.
Fantastic. So you come with a wealth of experience indeed. So, but nevertheless, we want to talk about all things surrounding Mass in Grenada. And if I may ask, if you guys can just go back a bit into the archives and share with us the history of Mass.
Okay, so definitely you can always chime in
Yeah.
in what I probably leaving out.
Alright.
So Carnival came from the Europeans back in the 14th and 15th century. The Europeans brought the masquerade ball to the Caribbean when they came. So that was a tradition on the plantations. They would normally have their masquerade balls where they put on their fancy dress and their mask and they parade in the grand ballroom. So that's the origin of the fancy mass per se. The Africans component came in after emancipation, where the slaves would celebrate with the Camboulet and the Juve, and that as I said, that happened after emancipation. So they would celebrate that but Camboulet means burning cane, so they would enact all that thing on what happens on the plantation. So that's where the origin of the mass in Grenada and the Caribbean comes from. I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, just to add that the African aspect of mass became prominent after emancipation.
Yeah, after emancipation.
After emancipation. Okay. Now, where did the whole let's start bending wires and put on these elaborate costumes? Well, before we got to where it is now, let's go back to just putting on clothing and parading the street. Where did that whole concept? Where did it come from? Who decided? You know what? We can change this up and actually make something called a costume and go to the streets with it.
I think from my recollection, that actually started in Trinidad. That part started in Trinidad and Brazil. That feathers and the wire bending, because their carnival actually evolved faster in terms of the fancy mass than ours. I mean, when you compare, we I think we more traditionally oriented. So we have all the I would say the best set of traditional masks, but the actual wire bending and all these feathers, it I think it's sent from Brazil, Trinidad, New Orleans, all these places, and I think it caught on in the world very quickly because everybody now love the, as we say, the fanciness of it, the feathers and the beads and all those things. Of course, fancy mass is not only feathers and beads, but that's what mostly everybody like no.
Because if we're looking back though, and speaking to Grenada specifically, before we got to all this costumes behind trucks, I remember Carnival, the Jab, then the Wild Indians, and the sailor mask. To me, those were more prevalent than the actual costume as we know it now.
And then it was a lot of fabric back then. It was
and the veku.
Yeah, they used to use fabric to do all the masks.
So how did we just make that drastic transition from? Because I hardly see. I remember one time. About two or three carnivals ago, I saw one lone wild Indian in town. One, and they said he was from St. David or somewhere. And every year, without fail, he would be only one wild Indian on the street.
I think though that it the culture it kind of it's dying because the children now we're not teaching it in schools. And we need to do more of that. We need more education in terms of letting the younger persons especially know that we have all these forms of mass. But I think though there are still wild Indians in other parts, other parishes.
I remember Telescope had a
they
Apache
don't come down
band,
to town.
A crazy Apache and wild Indian band.
They had it. They had it the last carnival because I saw it. And then we were representing Grenada and Carry Festa that year. So I spoke to the person in charge and I said, I need some of these costumes to go to Trinidad so we could parade our traditional mass, because I thought it was very interesting and you don't really see that again. And it would be something good to bring to the wider Caribbean to explain our traditional mass to them.
Because what I noticed was way older folks who are in the wild Indian, and it's like, and the Shotney, even Shotney, who could leave out the Shotneys? I'm sorry, someone says all about the Shotneys. You can't leave them out. That is something to you look forward to. I mean, I was scared of the Shotney, but it was still a good, pretty sight to see all this beautiful fabrics, and every year they came up with a different, just threw a whole bunch of cloth together, different colors, and their bells and their powder and everything, and that to me was a part of the whole carnival experience. When we're talking mass, you saw more of those than the actual bands on the street. And looking at it now, you'll find it's either their family members you see with them, because when I asked the guy that I saw with him, he said I think it was from Telescope, that it was himself and his family that trying to keep it alive. But they'll try to get other youngsters in the village to the community to be part of it, and they're like, nah, that's not their thing. They're waiting to put on their feathers. That's not their, they ain't about all that clothing. And
the traditional aspect, I think it's dying.
How can we preserve it?
I think we need to really bring it to our schools. We need to nip it there. I know it will take a long process because getting something on the curriculum, it takes years.
Because there are children you'll ask now, and they'll tell you they know nothing about no wild Indian, no Shotney, no.
Yes, Carnival arts needs to be on the school curriculum in some form. Devon said might take years, but you don't have to be.
What about arts festival? We did so many different things in the arts festival, the different competitions. So I never saw those sort of things being portrayed.
You're right. Carnival arts never came in the arts festival. I think that's something that I think I would even bring that to the division of culture next time I speak to them, because
and focus on the traditional part of it. Then we could do another one focusing on the mass part and getting folks, because making of costumes there's money there, in case people don't know.
I wanted to talk about that too, because it's a business.
So jump in, you can talk about
It's a business. So in Carnival, you could have several sources of income. You have the wire benders. We talked about that already. That's the one who actually take the wire and shape it to the particular costume frame. So if you want a hat, they make it into a heart, or if it's a semicircle, or you want a triangle, it's fit to whatever. So it's a mold. So that pays a lot. If we're talking about Trinidad, well, I could talk about Grenada too. But in Trinidad, a wire bender for carnival season could make as much as, like, let's say 15,000. In Grenada, depending on the band, between 6 to 8,000. So that's wire bending. Then of course you have the costume designers. The costumes just don't drop from space. Somebody has to design it, and that too, for design you could pay somebody up to 3,000 for well, not the prototype, but just the design. Then you have to make the prototype. The prototype is the sample costume which you would use to sell your costume. So somebody would make that, and then after it would be mass produced. So you need somebody for the prototype design, and then you have the persons that would work in the mass camp, the people who would do the beading, the braiding, the
people just care about the end result.
Yeah.
Listen, I tried it. I tried it about 2 years ago, like to literally be a part of it and like the whole production. And I swear, I almost died.
Yes,
I was
hard
so
work, but
tired. At one
but
point,
it's fun.
I couldn't feel my fingers. I was numb with the glue, having to glue
Yeah,
on
yeah.
everything in
I think
details. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work,
also,
but it's a good experience.
it's a good experience.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is too, if we're talking about venturing into different areas, everybody is like lawyer, doctor, the traditional skills, but Carnival is no longer a seasonal thing that is okay. Grenada Carnival, Trinidad Carnival, and it's a wrap for the year. If you look now, there's carnival popping up in all parts of the world that
and
you
then maybe
never
every month.
ever imagined you'll find a carnival, and they want costumes. They want that whole road experience. Places you never thought. You have carnival in LA. You have carnival in Boston, Washington,
Japan, all these places.
I mean, Miami, just about everywhere there's a carnival popping up. And I think now after COVID, there's going to be even more, because folks will be like, nah, after that.
Well, we were just talking because we say we can next. We don't know what would happen next year because the demand would be so high. Everybody would want to do something or play.
So then again, that goes back to the whole school. Why can't we bring those things there and give children options, and not just the traditional jobs, but give you options as other areas? There's children, I'm sure, that love designing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
There's an option.
Actually, right before COVID, the Spicemas and Oro partnered into doing a workshop.
Yes, I remember that.
And that workshop was very, very successful. We had children from a lot of secondary schools all over the island. They came and they actually learned to do a costume from scratch, because we had Sandra from Trinidad, the one of the main designers in Oro. Herself, myself and her, we were there to help that process and to guide that process. And they had a finished product. And the idea was that each school would do a project to make a costume from scratch, both traditional and fancy. But then right after COVID came, and that was
Everything.
on a halt. So I think that may be a first step when things come back, to continue that process. So the Spicemas Corporation, they already started doing something in that area, but more needs to be done in terms of putting it in the curriculum.
Totally agree.
I just want to go back to the traditional mass. I think we need to reinforce it, and because it's dying, it's becoming extinct, and the storyline behind it, or behind this particular type of mass, stem way back, and just listening to the stories that the vehicle will bring, you just have to sit there and just imagine what is taking place. And so And if we give our youth that sort of exposure now, I believe Carnival in years to come will be so phenomenal.
I agree that change is a part of life and everything, and the whole evolution. But I just find we're way too comfortable just letting things die. Oh well, it's they're not interested, and you'll be like, oh well, they're not interested.
No,
They,
I don't think we can leave that
no.
because remember, the traditional mass actually is a main component of Grenada Carnival.
Mhm.
Whereas in Trinidad, you may not see all that traditional mass, and even our
Exactly, these are
Juve
things that are
is
unique to us.
yeah. Well,
Carnival.
Juve not dying, but our Juve is unique to us alone.
Mhm.
In Trinidad, when you go to Trinidad Carnival,
Just mud
it's a whole
and
set of mud
chocolate
and
and
chocolate and
no, no.
Juve is not like a Juve. Juve is more like a fancy mass experience in Trinidad.
Mhm.
You go, you have your drink, you have your food. In Grenada, you can eat no fancy food plain
Listen, you eat it,
Juve.
whatever you have in your hand, you eat it with the oil and whatever you have in your hand. But I really think we need to do more to preserve what we have. I think we're getting lost in in everything else, the big feathers, all of that. It's fantastic, it's amazing to see, but we have to be able to preserve what we have as well. This is something that we can identify with. And as someone here is saying, a suggestion would be to look at our Dutch Caribbean neighbors festivals. The best display of traditional mass I've ever seen was in the Netherlands. The carnival was so beautiful.
Mhm.
Another person here is asking, how often are wire bending workshops and workshops dealing with various aspects of production are held? Well, as Damini just said,
Well,
that is something.
I could answer that because in Grenada, we don't really have a lot of persons teaching that. Because let me tell you, whenever I go to Trinidad, I would go to the mass camps and go to the wire benders to learn because I know that what I want to put out the best, and if it's not available here, I have to learn it somewhere. So my sister actually is very good at that too because we both learned how to do some of those things. So she would make her wire bras and sew from scratch.
I need
She
to
would
learn to
bend,
make those.
yeah, she would bend all her cause she's better. Well, she's much better than me, but she would bend all her wires and get it. Well, she's more perfectionist, so I would do something and she would fix it up. But again, that's a lot of money there in terms of the wire bra. Because if you're buying a wire bra already made, it's $110.
I know.
If you're making
That
it,
is why I need to learn to do
you
it.
save you save that first part. You don't even put any bead on it yet.
I need to
So
learn
I
how
think
to.
that is something too. Maybe Spicemas should look at getting somebody to come here and do or maybe looking here to because we have wire benders here. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if they want to
But there are
teach.
few
Few.
numbers. Yeah.
And another fantastic suggestion I'm seeing. Okay, school is out on vacation. Children are just for how many? Almost 2 months, and leading up to carnival. There are bands that do their own bending, their head, making the headpieces. Why not get them involved within, learning how to do it and actually working alongside, the professionals, and that way they know what to do next time. So you already have children. The next year you already have children skilled. You bring them into the different mass camps, and it's a learning process.
Yeah.
Find those who are interested. Going to the school, say we're having a summer program this year which involves carnival costumes and wire bending and making headpieces or even gluing or whatever the case might be. Interested students, whatever, you can sign up and be part of it, and then you assign them to the bands who need the assistance, and maybe a little stipend if they have to get bus or whatever the case might be. But it gets them involved and interested from that end, from not just seeing the finishing product, but getting them interested from the ground up. I think that is something that can really work.
Yeah, I think that would work because I can share an idea that we are doing for this year's carnival. It's not a carnival, but what we're trying to do, we're trying to do a miniature carnival presentation. Because I always read about the festivals all over the world to see what they do in this COVID time to better themselves or to keep themselves active. And see, that was one of the things that they did in Trinidad and in Brazil. So what I meant by a miniature carnival presentation, so we would say, okay, the band name is, let's say, Egyptian whatever, and we would have the sections. Instead of live persons, we would have miniature displays of different sections. So I think with that, we can incorporate some students in secondary school to be a part of it to make these things. And we wanted to use local things. So like to make the stick people, like the nutmeg and the bamboo.
Mm-hmm.
So that instead of other, importing foreign dolls
Mm-hmm.
and dressing them.
That
So
sounds good.
we make it locally, the stick people, and then we dress each of them in sections. So it's like a miniature display. And maybe we would display it maybe in front of the mall or somewhere Carnival Day. So that's my
Sounds good.
project for this year for Carnival.
Sound good.
And
What?
and
Okay.
just to add, I think we really need to use our wire benders and so on. Because I remember I had to take a young lady to Miss Caribbean Talented Team, and the theme I had in mind was the Grenada, the gateway to the Caribbean,
Mm-hmm.
as a bread basket,
Mm-hmm.
and there was no way anyone could have helped me in Grenada. So I had to channel myself to Trinidad, take a plane, go down to
Wow.
Trinidad, and there I met an old man. He could be in his, let's say, 70s, and he actually worked with me for about 3 hours, and we used cardboard, and you should have seen the outcome
Mm-hmm.
of that costume just by using cardboard
Mm.
as Grenada, the gateway to the Caribbean. So I said, why we have to go to Trinidad and actually spend the money there, where we can also use our local people, but they're not, they're not surfacing at all. So we need to find them and actually
Get them
get them
involved.
involved.
Mhm. Now, what about let's talk about some of the high points for you guys, and as it relates to Mass and Grenada's Carnival, and of course your impressions on the growth of Fancy Mass and Spice Mass, as it relates as well to the entrance of new bands and patrons, participants. What are your thoughts?
Okay, a very welcome addition to Spice Mass. It creates more spectacle and impact for the product. We can definitely see a shift, and we can end up losing our tradition. Now, the introduction of the foreign bands increase the awareness of Grenada's carnival to the global market and also drive the local bands to improve on
But
their
all
product.
is all the new bands not foreign, and most of them
Of
are not.
course, we know,
We
but,
most of all, I think us are
Mhm.
local.
but even our local, when you say local, we have about 7 of them.
Yeah.
All right. So when we talk foreign or new bands, the local one will have to step up.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
I would like to call them party bands though.
Party
Yeah,
bands.
yeah, yeah.
So we need them to step up in order to remain in competition, basically. All right. On the other hand, however, many local bands find it difficult to compete with for a number of reasons. Sponsors are generally more interested in supporting the party bands or the foreign bands, as we call them, and reduce, or in some cases, are interested in just looking at a foreign band. Let's put our monies there. All right. So this form of business, of course, is no harm to us, because of course we cannot tell a sponsor how
Where
to
spend the
spend his
money.
money
Mhm.
or who to give his money to. But I think in the introduction of the party bands now, as Mr. Brizan said earlier, they move into the Brazilian type of life and style. So of course we lose our own storyline. So let's say Comancheros comes out, the storyline is Mass in St. Paul's. All right, and there's a storyline to it.
The
What
costume
happened,
depicted,
where it's in
the
Paul's,
colors,
and all of
everything.
that. But now we just see as
But I think sorry to
Listen,
cut you, but I think there is a storyline,
you just have to follow it.
It's just
but
because
I guess
when we
Follow
come
the
up,
direction
yes,
of the wire, bro, and you'll find it.
yes, because when we come up with the costumes, we have a theme in
There's a
mind,
theme,
and there's
and the
every section
colors
has a name
section
and a
depicts.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just
Because if you remember last year with the whole
Panty
same
and
with
bra.
Oro and the jab, the black costume,
Right.
the,
Oh,
big-
yes,
the,
that
the
was
jab,
amazing.
the jab part of it.
Mhm.
So some of them actually do for what you have to like be imaginative and
Yeah.
follow.
And you
Say
see
the
the thing
yellow
with the
brick
fancy
road.
mask with the party bands, when you go there, you don't go in, you don't stay in your section. So it's not like there's any particular order.
Correct.
And before that was like you had your section, you stayed in your
Yes.
section,
Right.
had your
So
formation,
you can
Until you
actually-
had
finish,
your
Judge.
you
Yeah.
call that thing in your hand, your staff,
Your standard.
your
So
standard in your
you
hand.
could
Yeah.
actually follow the story. So anybody on the street could follow the story.
No, they can't follow
But
the
now
story.
Now
you
you
can't
can't
follow the
see no
story.
standard. You can see.
Mm-mm.
It's all about the cost.
So I think Devon is right. I think probably Spicemas has to see how they could encourage party bands to be in competition, because in Trinidad there are party bands, but they're also in competition. They don't stay out of the
I think
competition.
that was one of the complaints that folks have been having over the years, that the bands are getting bigger and bigger, and the costumes are getting smaller and smaller. In terms of the swimwear or whatever, and the bras and the bottom pieces. There have been complaints that there are folks who I mean, and in all the bands you have options, right? If you want to go bare as your dare,
Mhm.
or if you want to cover up, I think they work with you to suit your body type and your
exactly.
wants and needs. If you want full cover, monokinis and what have you, it depends on you. So I guess more people leaning towards the skimpier side of
Yeah,
things.
my thing is what the
So-
masquerader wants. You can
so-
tell them no. Well, sometimes everybody don't fit into the skip. So sometimes you as the band leader have to give somebody something that they would look good in,
Correct.
and not just because you
not
want
just
Not
because
because
they
you
want
want
it.
it,
So we
yeah.
try to do that a lot.
Mhm.
Make sure people look good in what they wear, even though it's skimpy or even though it's on the bigger end.
Mhm. What do you say are some of the high points for you guys in Mars and Grenada?
Juve, definitely.
Of course, second to none.
Second to none. And even the Monday Night Mass too, because you
Yes.
see more bands are
Yeah, and
participating in the
then
Monday
that you
Night
don't
Mass.
see that in the other islands
So-
also.
Mhm.
Or even our soca music
Yeah,
on international.
it's international
We
now.
have won international crowns and so
Mhm.
that. And of course, I think just Grenada Carnival is just the safest.
Yes.
You never really hear about anything violent.
Yeah, there's a scuffle here and there, but
Yeah.
no,
Nothing serious.
major that
Yeah.
makes international news. Don't go to Grenada. You're not going to be
Mhm.
safe, and all those things.
Hence, I think our team is so fitting. Many events,
On Carnival. But we like to see many more traditional mass.
Oh yes,
in involved in it,
Mhm.
and not just the fancy costumes and what have you, but see more from the tradition. And this is something where we could have more, because we're talking about seeing young children in bands, and maybe the tradition, you can start from the traditional mass up, and when you get older you can move into the big people segment. So I think the whole Veco experience, the short knee, the Wild Indian Apache sailor mask. I haven't seen sailors in a minute.
long time.
I look forward to seeing sailors with the crisp white
Yeah.
outfits,
And the
Well, I
hat.
know,
and the hat and the gloves.
as I mentioned, this is Derek Cloughton. I know he used to put out a lot of sailor masks.
That was his thing, sailor
His
mask.
thing was
Yeah.
sailor masks.
Well, when Ricardo first started his band, he had one of his section was Fancy Sailor.
Fancy
I remember
sailor,
that
yes.
because I think I played in that
We played
section.
in
I was a Fancy Sailor.
And there's this band that I look forward to out of Trinidad. Oh my gosh, when you talk about, it's not like the traditional costumes, like the beads and bra. It is a lot of material. I can't remember the name of the
But
band,
I think probably
but it's
it's
like a theatrical production.
I think it's McFarlane. Isn't it McFarlane?
I think so, but
Yeah.
it's like
Mhm.
somewhere you go
Or if
to
not
the theater
McFarlane, it might be
in the United
Tribe,
Kingdom,
not
or you.
not the fancy tribe, but tribe. Remember, tribe
Lost
have about
Tribe.
three. The Lost Tribe.
But there,
Either
I think it's I think it's
It's McFarlane, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of material. Like
Yes.
sometimes like gowns, it looks like ball gowns.
I think it's McFarlane.
Men
yeah,
in
It's so
yeah.
in like
theatric,
in suits, sort of, and it looks so good, and people actually like it. They get to like really dress up, and it's got a bougie mask sort of, because he looks really high fashion. You know, you see things you'll probably see on the runway, sort of. That's what it looks like. And I every year I just go to that page and be wowed by the imagination and the creativity of putting these pieces together. It is just so fantastic. So it's not just about looking at, okay, skimpy, the bras, the whatever, but there's so much we can add to it here, and people can have gainful employment from that year round, and we just chilling. I really think we need to like really pick up, we dropping the ball on a lot of things, where we can really get people interested, in young people interest. Peter Minshall.
Oh, Peter Minshall?
Yeah. But somebody says Peter Minshall.
But Peter Minshall don't do mass again.
No, I think it's the one that you said.
If it's recent you're talking about, then it's McFarlane.
I think
Peter Minshall was when I was in Trinidad studying. That was a spectacle too. And he had the same concept, but McFarlane took over from where Peter Minshall left off.
I think so. So something like that, because now everybody wants to be exposed. So there are different ways we can get creative with it. It's just a matter of doing the work. We're getting ready to go, but you guys' thoughts on the strengths of the overall Spicemas brand as we know it now. I mean, we haven't had Carnival like this second year, but the last time on previous carnivals before that. What are your thoughts on where we are?
Spicemas is definitely a growing brand, and Spicemas Corporation could do a lot to maximize the potential of it in terms of making more revenue to fund Carnival, because the product is there and people want to buy the product. So of course, once you have that, you should maximize your wealth. Everybody know, well, not everybody, but people like Carnival, and we see it as a time to free up and enjoy ourselves, forget about all the stress and worries of the day. So again,
a lot of us stress.
So again, there is room to grow.
I'm thinking of having my own photo shoot, put together some old costumes that I have and do my own photo shoot and have something to post up on Carnival.
And nothing wrong with that. Or you could do like the Trinidadians this year they came to work in their costume.
That's a good idea. Since
yes, everybody was on the street
Damini,
in their costume.
That is a fantastic idea.
It wasn't on the street, but they came to work in their costume.
Spicemas Corporation, work with us here. Because Monday and Tuesday is no longer holidays this year, right? So how about we go to work in our costume, a headpiece, a back piece, or something?
Maybe not the little panty and the bra,
no. But like a piece, just you can put on your headpiece or you put on your back piece or something, a little piece of the big, some piece of Carnival. Because on those 2 days, no, we're not doing well at all. All right, so that's a good idea.
Spicemas is growing, and they will continue to grow. Especially in that last stakeholders forum we had, trying to look at Carnival in Dominica and St. Lucia and Grenada. A lot came out of that, and they are putting things in place. So we should see a spectacular, let's say, 2022.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Both of them crossed. I don't think we'll make it to year 3, no. No feathers. No, we have to.
Something I'd like to say, I don't know if Spicemas is doing it yet, but I think we need to document all forms of our mass. So we have it there, documented. Everybody who come could see, like the younger generations, the visitors, they could get the history and see the evolution of the mass. I'm not sure if it's documented.
Yes, I think
maybe it is, but
I think on the website, I think I saw
the Carnival Museum of sorts.
Something like that. So you have,
You have it like.
And if it's documented, maybe you need to do some publishing and promoting of it.
But one thing I want to add to, I think when you look at the other countries, the government pump a lot of money into mass.
I think for the entire week, all the guests we've had, that has been the general consensus. We need to invest more.
Grenada need to do that. Because I'm just talking based on experience. even when we take a girl, let's say to Miss JC's or Miss Caraval in St. Vincent or Miss International and Anguilla and so, the other countries put
A
out
lot.
that girl like if she is in Miss Universe.
Universe, yeah.
Lord.
And we in Grenada is like, oh my God.
You go like a
Whew,
stepchild kind of
It's
movement.
like, what's going on with us?
Yeah.
But mind you, our girls win too. But it's a lot of hard work.
It's
So I
good.
believe
You need to
even for
invest more.
Carnival, we need to pump some more money.
I think that has been the general consensus all week that we really need to put more into it to get more out of it,
Mhm.
because the spin-off, it's tremendous,
Mhm.
So I'm hearing in the area of $30 million, out of Carnival. So imagine if we put more into it, how much more we can actually get out of it. So with the 2 year break, I hope that some of these things that we've spoken about, we'll see them being put into action. And also, the schools seem to be the general talking point this week. That going back to the schools and getting more young people involved in this thing called mass, it's really important. So I hope that the folks are listening and will take some of this and put it to work. All right. Any final word before we go?
Well, I'm just sad that we can't have mass again for this.
Listen, like
No,
I said,
that's-
we're
no,
here.
it's- I mean,
we're here for each other. We need to
yeah.
do wellness check. Hey, you're good. Carnival Monday, Tuesday. Just
No.
check up on each other and make sure that we're
No,
good.
it's a depressing feeling.
It is,
People
it
don't
is.
people don't when
No,
you're laughing,
who
people don't
People
understand.
who aren't involved and like love and are passionate about it, they would.
Last year before I was dreaming about fancy mass every night. It's like I wake up and oh gosh, it's not real.
Imagine going to work
Mhm.
Carnival Monday.
I think it's a good break for the 2 years to get ourselves in check
Yeah, yeah.
and to
We need
prepare
to
ourselves
reset.
better
We had to reset.
for 2022.
I think so too. We have to reset. So I really hope the Spicemas Corporation have been doing that as well, doing a lot of introspection and dotting the I's and crossing the T's to ensure that we're gonna have a amazing carnival in 2022. So really looking forward to that. All right, we're holding the fire under you guys' feet. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for checking in with us this morning, talking
Most
about
welcome.
mass. Appreciate you and all that you do for mass. And Damini, keep the faith. We'll be on the road again. And that's about all the time we got this morning, guys. We'll be back tomorrow for the final one. Of course, all week we've been talking all things carnival together with the Spicemas Corporation, their 10-year anniversary. Tomorrow we'll be having the National Carnival Queen Show Experience. Ricardo Keynes Douglas and Anisha David, they will be here with us. Of course, Anisha is a National Carnival Queen of 2012. And of course, we all know Ricky, producer, director, playwright. They'll be here in the room tomorrow. So looking forward to having you here as well. Thank you so much again to our kind sponsors for making this morning's Ladies Room possible. George F. Huggins and Company Limited, Sisson Spain, Spicemas Corporation, Horizon Credit Union, Western Union, and Beacon Insurance. Thanks so much to all our viewers and those of you who are chiming in. Looking forward to having you back again tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a good Thursday, guys.